You are listening to the Cattle Call Podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of ZenTek Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The Cattle Call Podcast. All right, everybody, welcome to the Cattle Call Podcast with Jim and Rocco from ZenTek Consultants. I am Jim Coppinger, and with me, as always, is my friend and business partner, Mr. Rocco Parisi. Say hi, Rocco.
Good morning, fine folks.
Hi, how we doing today? We good?
Just stuck in yourself.
You know what? I'm alive and on the right side of the grass. We'll take it as a win. So, no worries there.
Oh.
So, all right. So, what do we got going? Oh, so our topic today is a little different one, actually. It's entrepreneurship, starting your own tech biz, which is a little, as Rocco pointed out before we got started here, is I guess kind of an odd topic for us. And it really is. It's one that we had, thought about doing, but we've kind of, put off for a while. And what kind of kicked it into gear for me today to kind of jump into this one is I am currently sitting in quarantine. In other words, I had to go out last week. I had to do some traveling. I had to go fly across country. My son was moving from Seattle back to New Jersey. So, to be safe after, flying out there and then driving through literally every northern state in the country, doing a full 4,000 some odd mile run to get back home. I went from ocean to ocean. I'm kind of, stuck here sitting in my drab little home office in one room. And thinking about how the COVID stuff has been impacting everybody. And that kind of brought me back to this topic, okay, in kind of a weird roundabout way.
COVID aside, I'm surprised that they let you, I can see them letting you out of the state, but letting you back in?
I'm saying, you would think they would know better. You think once you got rid of me, they'd keep me rid.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's Rocco's plan right there. He was planning that I didn't come back. He's like, oh, God, please, no. Apparently, my wife agreed with him. But hey, who is to argue? My job in life is to make the two of you miserable. How am I doing so far?
Fantastic.
Outstanding. It's good to have a skill set. Oh, goodness. All right. So again, you're starting your own tech biz here. So, it's been a few years now since Rocco and I started ZenTek Consultants. Like I said, with the onset of this COVID-19 pandemic and the crazy number of folks who are being forced into a, basically what's a sink or a swim position, right, in order to survive, we've been seeing a lot of folks over the last few months who are going out on their own as entrepreneurs, right? Whether, and it ties into what we usually talk about here on the Cattle Call. We're seeing licensed architects, engineers, construction folks, even, CAD and estimating people. There's been a massive surge of people who are forced to either start their own business, right, or just sit there and try to get by on unemployment for the foreseeable future, and that's a scary choice to have to be in. But here's a good thing, right? I do think that it's part of the call it the American spirit, to want to own your own business, right? You want to be your own boss, to finally be that one person making the decisions. But that's not really an easy leap to make, right? When you have a job and you're paying a mortgage and you got kids and you have looming college costs and all of the other things that go along with daily life. And I think because of that, a lot of folks have hesitated in their lives, and some of them for decades, over making that leap to opening their own business. And with the mass layoffs and the business closings that we've seen in this country, those same people are making the decision to open up their own consulting and support firms. Let's face it, at this point, what do you really have to lose, right? When there's little to no income coming your way, any risk, I think, is better than just doing nothing. So, with that in mind, I figured this would be, like I said, I was thinking about the COVID because I'm stuck in this room. This would be a great opportunity to talk about how, Rocco and I got started in the tech consulting business and some of the steps that our listeners can take to get themselves started down that same road. See, we're always here to help you out no matter what. So, Rocco, right, since we were talking to a client and a listener yesterday who accused me of never letting you talk on this podcast, right, how about I let you explain to our folks about our backgrounds and what prompted you and I to make the move to leave our previous employer and start our little ZenTek adventure.
Yeah, well, and you can fill in the gaps, in terms of your background, Jim. But I mean, my background has been in sales and marketing, and I started from out of college, in the sales end, and worked my way through, within the Autodesk channel, and went from one part reseller, to another reseller. And so worked my way through the sales manager, director of sales levels, and eventually there were shifts within the Autodesk channel, that forced a hand at it, at moving into my own, partnering with you.
Mm-hmm.
So my background has been in sales and marketing. Your background was always in the design build, area, and you went from the construction area to the civil side, eventually into the CAD management side, and then we partnered up, at an Autodesk reseller, and worked together for what, about 4 years, I guess it was.
Yep.
And we started managing folks, and saw that we got along, and we shared a lot of the same,
Wait, we get along?
Kind of drives. Oh,
When did that happen?
So we saw that we had a lot of the same ideas in terms of how we worked together and where we wanted to take things. And between the changes that were going on in the Autodesk channel, trying to get rid of partners, smaller partners, in an effort to get larger partners in play, and getting rid of the perpetual licensing model, and in an effort to move to a subscription-based model, and just getting tired of working and seeing the bosses kind of take it easy while you're kind of busting your butt, every day, night and day. And it was kind of like, hey, you know what? When we're going to go out and work for somebody else and struggle to, kind of find our way through this, why not give it a shot on our own?
Yeah.
And that's basically what we did.
Yeah. And exactly that. And one thing I will say to take away from that, folks, when you're listening, right? So we're going to be, Lisa, we're talking here today about, going out on your own. It doesn't necessarily mean by yourself. Listen, there's absolutely no way that I could have done ZenTek without Rocco at my side. Having that counterbalance. Like I said, we both bring completely different skill sets and capacity to the table. While still, like Rocco pointed out, having very similar outlooks on life and business and practice, and just how we work and what we do as people. So think about that too. Like I said, you may be sitting at home figuring, oh man, I'm really in trouble. I got to get out there and start my hustle. But you're not the only one. You probably know a bunch of folks who are in the same boat, right? Or at the very least at risk at the moment of being in that same boat. Reach out to them, talk to them, see what you can do to work together. It's a great way to go. So, all right. So, I think when it comes to opening a business, particularly if you're dealing with like a tech-based one, I think the first steps are the most frightening for people. A lot of times there just seem to be so many things to do that it can overwhelm you and leave you kind of frozen and not sure where to begin. In the online and tech and software related worlds, the sheer number of software systems and processes and options, can be completely staggering. So, let's talk about where to start then. Some things you have to do are common to all businesses, regardless of what you're doing. Basic steps that you need to get yourself going, right? For starters, you're going to need to register your business with your state and with the federal government. Luckily, both of these things can be done online, and it really is just as simple as filling out a form and paying the application fee. There are always application fees. And you can usually just go in and type in the name you want to use for your company, Jim's CAD company, if that's what you're looking at. And the state will tell you if that name is available or if it's in use. You can use pretty much any name you like there. It doesn't matter. Listen, I don't be jealous. They can't all be as cool as ZenTek. I mean, that I'm just saying. One of us here thought up that name and thought it was really awesome. I'm just throwing it out there. Me. Sorry. So, next, right? So what are you going to need next? Next, you're going to need, obviously, a bank account. And you can open that at any bank. But before you get there, you're going to need your state and your federal ID numbers for that new company. And after that, the next area, and again, I'm really simplifying this because it really isn't that complex. The next, and to my mind, the most important step of all is a business plan. All right, now, I know I just said that, and that there are folks out there who are rolling their eyes and are thinking, oh, I don't need to do that. But believe me when I tell you, there is no way you are going to succeed without a formal, written, well thought out business plan. All right? Don't worry, right? If you have no idea how to write a business plan or even what a business plan really is, you know why? Because Rocco's going to explain it to us. Okay? There you go. Let's dump this on Rocco. So Rocco, how important was our business plan in making ZenTek the successful tech consulting firm we are today? How and where do folks get started with writing one up, and what should it include?
Yeah, it is definitely an important ingredient to building to building your future, really, to building your future of your business. I mean, it's one thing to have things in concept in your mind. What do I want to do? I can do this, I can do that. But once you start to really pin it down and think about it and putting it in writing, it's a different story. And I don't know, everybody's different, but for me, I'm always thinking, I'm always kind of talking through things, but when it comes to writing, I kind of hit a stumbling block, But the good thing is that there are many templates out there. I mean, starting with the SBA, the Small Business Administration offers templates that you can use as the foundation. There's a lot of different parts of a business plan that are important, that kind of force you to really think through. I mean, everything from who do you want to be? Who are you? Who do you want to be? What kind of skills do you and your partner or partners have? Components like doing a SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats. Who are you as an individual? Who do you want to be as a company? What are your core strengths? What weaknesses do you have? What are you not able to do? And you can't do everything in business. That's something that we certainly realize
very quickly.
Very often. Yeah, you certainly can't do everything. You definitely have to look at the opportunity within the market. Do research, right? Do some R&D into the industry. What opportunities are there? Because you really have to understand if you're going into an industry that's shrinking, where there aren't opportunities. Well, you could be going down a rabbit hole that's just going to bring you into doom. And then you have to look at your competition. What does your competition offer? What do they? What can you offer? How can you be different? What kind of cost structure do they work with? What kind of cost structure are you able to work with? Mm-hmm. We only have a short time here with this podcast, but I don't want to dwell for hours here. But another huge component is your financials, right? I mean, you got to look at all kinds of your startup costs. What kind of budget do you have? Where are you looking? Are you fortunate enough to have some money saved up to start up a business? Are you going to look to the SBA or similar organizations to borrow money? How are you going to split up that money? What kind of startup costs do you have from a phone system all the way up to computers, to software, to your salary? Yeah, you kind of got to sort of get paid. So there's definitely a lot to it, and I'm a huge advocate for definitely pulling together a good, solid business plan. Mm-hmm. And another huge ingredient is, God willing, you make it to year 2 and you make it to year 3 and so on. You have to continuously look at that business plan every year. Make the time to review it at least once a year, if not twice a year.
Yeah, because everything changes. I mean, we do it every year. It's part of our annual structure, to make sure that, the markets change and we change and our goals change and our capacity changes each year. So you have to readjust it. It's a living, breathing document. So, Yeah, so that's a good summary. I mean, the business plan, it's meant to create a roadmap for you. All right? It's a guide to everything you need to do, and if you go and you use the templates and the tools available on those sites like the SBA, they're really easy to set up, and they'll help people deal with that overwhelmed feeling, right, that so many of us get when we're first starting out. That the business plan is going to tell you, help you define exactly what you're selling and how much you're charging and who else is selling it and what are they charging, right? And most importantly of all, it helps you plan how to get the word to all your customers that the thing you're selling is the best type of thing being sold, right? So, once you've got this in place, right, it just comes down to following the steps that you have written out in your business plan. You just start at the top and you work your way down, right? It's set up a website, set up email, set up business software service, get a laptop, get a desk, figure out how to start marketing the company to clients. It's just a step-by-step roadmap, and it will take most of that fear and uncertainty out of the business startup process. Okay, so it's really important. So I think with that, we can take a quick break to hear from today's sponsor. And when we come back, we're going to get into the tech side of this discussion. We'll be back in just a few minutes, folks, with more of the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, everybody, today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of ZenTek Consultants. That's Rocco and I. ZenTek Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. ZenTek strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to ZenTek?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through ZenTekConsultants.net. You can email us at sales@ZenTekConsultants.net, or you can even call us, 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from y'all. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cattle Call Podcast. And today we're talking about getting yourself up and running in your own kind of tech-based business. Whether it's CAD drafting or estimating or a software reseller or anything else that requires, some software and some technical processes. A large part of that setup process for your new business is going to be about, what software and processes you're going to need to work with. So let's start this with the internal tech that you're going to need for your company, not necessarily what you're selling to others, but what you need for your company. Right? And you think about it, right? You're going to need, email and phone, and you're going to need file storage, and you're going to need, basic business software, at the very least. Right? And in addition to that, if you're doing tech and design stuff like we talk about mostly here, you'll need specialized software like, CAD or quantity takeoff systems, etc. Right? And making the right choices here can make or break your business. Right? You really need to strike a balance between cost and functionality in order to give you a chance to grow, without emptying whatever little cash you have to get things going out of your bank account. So, all right, so Rocco, let's talk about what we do here at ZenTek and why did we go that route. All right, what did we opt for in terms of file storage, email, phone systems, all right, and what have we seen as the positive and negatives of the systems available and that we're working with?
Yeah, well, we're using Microsoft Office 365 as our Office platform. We use RingCentral as our phone system. That's totally cloud. They're both totally cloud and internet based. The software that we use is it's it depends on the situation. I mean, we're partners, so at some level we get the software through the companies that we work with, but some of the solutions we purchase on a month-to-month basis or flat outright. But for the most part, I'd say a lot of what we've done is month-to-month. So the important component is I think is the cloud piece, right? And Jim, you'll talk a little bit more about this here, but it's just huge. It's huge. It's so easy to collaborate both internally and externally with those cloud-based structures.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the cloud setup, right? And like Rocco said, we're almost entirely cloud-based and digital in terms of our workflow process, and we have been for since day one, right? For years now. And I think that in the current environment, right, there are a lot of people who had kind of resisted the concept of going completely cloud-based, completely digital, and remote, and I think they're actually starting to see that those concepts work, and that they are really easily adapted to small entrepreneurs starting their own business. The reality is there are hundreds, if not thousands, of affordable commercial systems out there, all right, that let even a one-man startup operate, securely and confidently, and to present themselves as a larger seeming professional organization. Listen, a real good example of that, right, is how we use go-to training. We do a lot, and I do mean a lot, of online training on CAD and construction technology here at ZenTek. And, we needed a way to let our instructors handle all the aspects of online classes, right? From, screen sharing and handouts and sample files and polls, client tracking, fee collection. There's a lot that goes into that. And that type of infrastructure would be impossible for a small company just getting off the ground to develop and implement on their own. But in modern times, companies like GoTo and so on, they charge us a small monthly fee, right? And we have instant access to tools and processes that we could have never been able to develop on our own. And like Rocco was saying, I am a huge fan of cloud-based file storage systems. The days of servers and buying servers and server farms and the time and the cost and the crazy expensive upkeep and update on those are gone. Right? When you're dealing, like I said, with online systems like Microsoft SharePoint and OneDrive or Google Drive, you get all the benefits of a full-blown server farm, right? But you're getting it with better security, right? The ability to share files with clients and vendors, right? And it's all for just a couple of bucks a month, right? And not just that, but you can add more storage as you need with a simple email to either to the developers or even to a channel partner like ZenTek, right? We do that for folks all the time. And I think when you're starting out, it is important to keep cash in hand to help you build your business. So when you're faced with the option, right, of paying like $100 a month for all of your storage and communication and email and phone needs, or laying out $10,000 for a server and a dedicated phone system they're going to come out and install in your house, I mean, that's a no-brainer to me. You're going to keep that 10 grand in the bank and just divvy out $100 a month, right? So Rocco, that brings up another question in my mind, right? So we've talked a number of times on this podcast about the pros and cons of SaaS, right? The software as a service licensing, and that I generally hate it. But do you think it's a better option for startups? I mean, in particular, when you're dealing with really expensive software systems like CADs, CRMs, ERPs, EDM type stuff, do you think it's better for folks to get subscription-based licenses or lay out the cash for perpetual ones? Assuming they're available for the type of software you're getting.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, you have to look at your options, but if you go back to what you just said a minute ago, you got to look at your cash situation, right? It's not a matter of just saying, well, I have $10,000 in the bank, for example, I can spend it. You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, and you need to think. you need to think about the fact that, hey, how far can I stretch that $10,000, for example? So if it means putting out $200 a month, for the next year versus putting out $3,000 all at once now you're down to $7,000,
Mm-hmm.
So you really have to look at that. I mean, as a whole, I think that it does make sense, but you have to run your numbers.
Yeah, and then we kind of do a split. Like I said, I think early on we did almost exclusively the monthly, And now, we're big enough, we've been around long enough, we've got enough, cash flow working, and enough solid client base that there are things that we do pay up front. We'll pay the full annual, save a few $100s by doing the 1 year kind of thing, but that comes later. I think you're starting off, the monthly is usually the best way to go because it's the least cash outlay when you're first getting going. So the last thing that I want to touch base on here today is, how do you reach your potential clients? All the planning, the support systems, and the software in the world that you get aren't going to mean a thing if you can't get, somebody to pay you for your services. You get on the interwebs and there are a million ways, there are a million websites, and, they're all going to tell you about the best ways to market your product or your service to the world. And here I'm going to tell you from your very costly personal experience that I think most of them are full of crap. You'll get told all about, social media advertising and active content and synergistic, SEO modeling and 100 other terms that you're barely going to understand. And then they're going to tell you, oh, you got to get on Facebook and you got to get on Twitter and Instagram and don't ever forget the sacred, all-important LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is where everything is. They're all going to tell you to invest your money, which you're starting out and you don't have a lot of, into advertising on these sites, and then you'll be a billionaire in a week. Listen, to my mind, save your money, folks, and concentrate on the tried and true. Email, calling people, networking with people at events, which, for right now, they're mostly online events in the current market. But listen, here's where I kind of sum this up, right, in terms of listening to that. Tell you what I always tell Rocco, and he's so tired of hearing this. Sites like LinkedIn, right? I always tell him all the time, these are sites that are filled with marketers who are marketing to other marketers about how to market to other marketers. That's what they are.
That phrase just hurts my head.
It does. It's painful, isn't it? But it's the reality of it. It's just nothing but it's a giant pyramid scheme for marketing. That's all most of those social media sites are for businesses. So Rocco, what now that I've got your head hurting, let me throw this at you. What have been our best marketing practices here at ZenTek, right? What do we see really solid returns on, and what has been a flat bust in terms of finding clients for us?
Yeah, you basically said it, Jim. It's the email marketing is honestly our best tool, and it's not easy to build up an email list, a loyal base of followers, but there are channels that you can use to purchase leads and to start email marketing. There are tools like Constant Contact and MailChimp that you can actually build email templates and build lists from and actually start to market to folks. The other idea or the other aspect of this is if you're fortunate enough to have some extra money, I would say invest in somebody who understands marketing and who can help you on the marketing side. And we've been fortunate enough to have someone on our team who's fantastic. And that is huge, especially in today's climate.
Yeah, no doubt. And marketing is the key to everything, right? You got to put it in front of them before they'll even consider buying it. So there you go. And like I said, for my money, folks, stay away from social media. It's a giant money pit, and we have invested tens of thousands of dollars in it and never seen a single return.
Yeah, it is like putting into a black hole. It's it's not easy to measure those returns. I mean, you can get tracking from your website in terms of clicks and see the number of people coming to your website at some level, but you never know who those are, and I don't know. You wonder how accurate is the data. It's at some level I do agree with Jim.
Yeah. Ooh, there. See, we have that on record now. You once agreed with me. Nice. There's a first time for everything. So, all right. So there you have it, folks.
The other point that I will make, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jim, is it's kind of a big point that I should have mentioned when we were talking around the business plan is there is an organization out there called SCORE, and I forget exactly what SCORE stands for, but
what is it? It's the something of retired executives.
Yes, and they are a great source for help as well in terms of guidance. Those folks actually work for free, and they are a bunch of retired folks who have real world industry experience and who can really point you in the right direction. They'll actually assign a mentor to work with you to help to review your business plan once you have it in place. Really have some solid conversations with you. Yeah. And I'll say that we honestly did not use SCORE extensively, but we did use them. And part of the reason why we didn't use them extensively is because we're fortunate that I have a business degree and I've always had a business background. So, but not everybody's fortunate enough to have that. Yeah, so absolutely. Definitely encourage you to reach out to SCORE because they're a great resource.
Yeah, and I think they're a subset of the SBA, aren't they? Or they're associated with the SBA.
I believe so. Yeah.
So I don't remember what the SC. It's like the small consortium of retired executives or something. I should have figured out, but they were definitely very helpful. That's a great tip. Glad you pointed that out. All right, so I think that covers pretty much everything we're going to talk about here, right? So setting up your own company, and getting going as a tech entrepreneur isn't that hard. If you have a skill set and the desire, it is about taking small, simple, affordable steps and not expecting to make millions of dollars in a few months. That's not going to happen. Businesses take decades to grow to anything remotely stable and profitable. All right, the best that you can hope for in your first few years is to get close to the salary that you would have made working for someone else. If you can accomplish that, then you are doing just fine. You can pay your bills without the headaches of dealing with a boss who never listens to your ideas, just like Rocco never listens to mine. But what? Exactly. All right, folks. I think we can leave it there as he's getting obnoxious. All right, Rocco. I'll catch you next time. And, folks, we will catch you all on the next Cattle Call Podcast.